So you want to nail the front splits? Well, in today's video, we're going to take you through an epic routine with a beginner and advanced progression. We're also going to drop a massive knowledge bomb inside on you that's going to level up your flexibility dramatically. Stick around till the end because we're also going to reveal the biggest mistake people make when trying to attempt the front splits. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
Hi, in case we haven't met, my name's Rad Burmeister. This is my brother Yanni Burmeister, and let's get into this awesome routine. So to start with, Yanni's going to do 2 warm-ups, one for the hamstrings and one for the hip flexors. First one's called the ostrich walk. Just go left to right, Yanni, so that Richard can see you. So we're going to go, if you have a look what he's doing, we love this. If you've been watching our videos for a while, you'd see us do this ostrich walk a lot. It's a big part of the warm-up drills routines that we do in the Mobility Masterclass. And what he's basically doing is, he's dynamically stretching his hamstrings. So the weight is going on the front leg. So the focus is all on the front leg. There's very little happening on the back leg. And he's just bouncing up and down to get a dynamic stretch in the hamstrings. You'll see that he starts to warm up after the first 30 seconds or so. He will start getting a little bit deeper. He probably already is getting a little bit deeper and a little bit more maybe aggressive, fast-paced would be the word, but different ways to do it. You can see he's doing a single bounce now for each step, whereas the last time he was doing it, he was doing a double bounce for each step. So you can do this for, I mean, honestly, you could do it for 5 minutes if you wanted to. We do it usually for between 1 and 3 minutes, depending on if it's summer or winter. And now we're gonna go into some split squats, Yanni. So what Yanni's gonna do in his own time, he's just gonna do a split squat, where the idea here now is that he's trying to straighten his back knee as much as possible. And you can just do a couple of reps, Yanni, so just up and down. Now have a look at the angle between Yanni's rear femur and front femur when he's at the bottom. It's almost 180 degrees. So if you look at that angle from this knee across to that knee there, it's almost 180 degrees, which is guess what? That's what happens in the front split. So this is a beautiful dynamic way to warm up the hip flexors, the muscles in the front of the hip that create hip flexion. So let's go to the other leg now, Yanni. And again, you can do, when you do these warm-ups, you can do multiple sets. So you could do, if you wanted to, and it all just depends on how long it takes you to warm up and how hot or cold it is where you are. So you could do a set of 60 seconds of the ostrich walk and then say 10 of these on each leg, and then ostrich walk and then another 10 of these, and you could do 2 or 3 sets of that. That'd be really, really nice. Yeah, it all just, how much warm up you do completely depends. It also depends on your age. The older you are, the more you need to warm up. So it depends on your injury history. There's a lot of factors that determine how much warming up you should do. So that's our warm up exercises done for this video. There's a lot of other stuff that we do when we teach our front split routines in the Mobility Masterclass. So Yanni, we're gonna do the passive front splits now. So you can actually use, these tumble track sliders are really, really good for this. We'll put a link in the description for these. So if Yanni, you can just put your back foot on here and your front foot on here. Go on the top of your foot, on the back foot, because we're doing a passive front split, so on top of the foot, yep. Okay, so from here, what Yanni's gonna do is he's basically just gonna slide his back foot out as far as he can comfortably go. So for a beginner, put your back knee on the ground, Yanni. Put your back knee on the ground, yep. Now, for a beginner, this is probably where you're going to be going to, okay? So what we're actually going to be doing is get the front, yeah, that's it. Don't go that far because we're showing for a beginner. So from here, what Yanni's going to do is, he's actually going to rock forward, so put the dowel rods in front of you, and he's going to lean forward so he gets into the hamstring. That brings the stretch more into the hamstring. And then from here, he'll come back and get the stretch more into the hip flexor. So we're just rocking front to back like that. Okay, now one of the big mistake that people make with the front splits is the way that they rotate their hips. So what people tend to do is they rotate their hips this way, which is totally cheating. It opens up because it puts less stretch on the hip flexor and less stretch on the hamstring. So what we want to do is really make sure that those hips are squared off when you do this. So you can go a little bit deeper if you want to now, Yanni, but I just wanted to show a real beginner version of this. Okay, now change sides. when you're ready. So you can see obviously Yanni's quite flexible. So if this is another insight as well, you really want to understand the way that it takes multiple sets to get down into your full stretch. Like Yanni can do the front splits, but we're in the middle of winter here in Sydney, and because we're doing multiple videos right now, we haven't done a full warm-up for this, so Yanni's playing it safe, and that's a really important thing to do. You should be safe when you stretch. You shouldn't stretch to the point of pain. So, beginner version here, you want to have the toes pulled back as much as you can. He's coming forward to get the stretch in his hamstrings, and then he comes back to get the stretch into his hip flexors, all the while making sure that his pelvis is facing forward. So do go as deep as you want, Yanni, if you want to go a little bit deeper to warm up. We're about to get into the advanced version, so I'm just letting Yanni get a little bit more warmed up here. So the reason why this is a really good beginner version is because the main difference between what we're going to do now is Yanni's got his knee, well, he's bouncing up and down off the ground now, but normally you have your knee on the ground. It makes it so much easier than what we're about to do. So let's jump up and get into the advanced version now. So now we don't need the tumble track sliders, we still need the dowel rods. We're going to come over here. So Yanni's going to put his foot up. Now we're into the advanced version now. I'm going to make that clear again. Get the heel as close to the wall as you can on the front leg. Okay, to start with, you don't go too low at all. The pelvis stays forward, and now from here, Yanni's going to lean forward and twist in towards his front leg for 3, 2, 1, and then he comes up and leans back to get it into the hip flexors. 3, 2, 1. Now he wiggles his back foot back, maybe about half a foot distance, okay? And then he goes again, lean forward as far as it can go. 3, 2, 1, and then lean back. 3, 2, 1. Now he wiggles that foot back a little bit more.
Am I trying to keep my foot straight on the back foot?
You are. You're trying to keep the back leg straight at all times. Yeah. So leaning forward, 3, 2, 1, leaning back, 3, 2, 1, wiggle the back leg back again. And you basically just keep doing this until you get to the end of your range of motion. Now, I always need to remind my little brother not to hurt himself, so make sure because you haven't warmed up properly, don't go too far, but go as far as you're comfortable going. And there's no set amount of reps here. It's really just that each rep you do 3 seconds in each position, 2 to 3 seconds, and you're just going to go down until you get to that point where you're at the end of your range. Now, the real advanced version of this, you actually don't use the dowel rods. So that makes it much harder because you're fully relying on the balance in your legs. You've got nothing to support you. And that's it. That's the advanced version. That's called the front splits, front to back rock. So what we want to talk about now is, while Yanni does this other side, I want to talk to you guys about the key insight from this video and the biggest mistake people make. The key insight is understanding how to train both elements of the front splits, which is the hip flexors and the hamstrings. You really need to make sure that you understand how to train both of those components for the front splits. It's not just going into the front splits. The second thing, the biggest mistake that people make is what I spoke about before, where people let the pelvis twist to the side. And it's really cheating. You get a cheated front split. If you want to develop a proper front split and you want mobility and flexibility that's going to translate really, really well into your movement, you want to train your front splits with the hips facing forward. How's that feeling, Yanni?
Yeah, good. When I do this drill, should I be trying to keep my back straight or should I just be flopping forward?
No, as best as you can, you try and keep your back straight. You can feel you get that better stretch in the hammies when you do it that way.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And that's it, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you get something out of it. If you want to get some full, complete routines for the front splits, that's a mouthful, you can check out our Mobility Masterclass. Yanni will put a link in the description of this video for you, and that's where we teach multiple progressive stages of routines for the middle splits, pancake, front splits, and back bridge. And we also teach end range strength, which is some really cool stuff.
I'll see if I can link these in the description. They have been hard to find on Amazon, believe it or not. A good, solid, robust cane dowel rod. We get these from Bunnings and they're literally just a broomstick. They cost a few bucks. Don't go and buy a dowel rod because they'll charge you 30 bucks And these at Bunnings in Australia are about $6 and far better.
Yeah.
You know, we started out by buying dowel rods and they're
they were
stupidly
30 bucks
expensive.
a pop.
Yeah. So I'll try and link them in the description, but it's literally, it's a
wooden broomstick.
It's a wooden broomstick,
Yep.
yeah.
So wherever you can get a wooden broomstick and wherever you are in the world, that's all you need.
I think it's a bamboo broomstick.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see how we go. I'll try. Otherwise, for those of you in Australia, I don't know if they got Home Mart and stuff like that in the US. In Australia, we have Bunnings. I think that's it. Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
See you in
Until
our next
time.
video.